In the first lesson of this series, we looked at what the passive is, how to form it, and when not to use it. In this lesson, we will review some grammatical terminology concerning the passive and discuss some advanced aspects of the topic, including what is not the passive. Okay, let's start with this verb table from the first lesson. Grammar experts will note that the verbs are all transitive. This means that they can all take a direct object and can form the very common English clause pattern of subject-verb-object, SVO. For example, the boy hit the ball. In a passive construction, the object becomes the grammatical subject, and the subject of the corresponding active sentence is seen in the by prepositional phrase, or omitted as unnecessary, obvious, or unknown. Intransitive verbs, such as in these sentences, follow the SV or subject-verb pattern. They do not have an object, and so they cannot be made into a passive construction. Note, however, that some intransitive verbs can take an object when used figuratively, as in the two examples here. In theory, therefore, they can be passivized, but the passive versions sound ridiculous. The sleep of the just was slept by him. Cats and dogs were rained all day yesterday. As you see here, the grammatical subject of an active sentence is the doer of the action, and the object is the done to. In the corresponding passive version, the done to becomes the grammatical subject. In order to consistently name the doer and the done to, the terms agent and patient are used respectively. So in both the active and the passive sentences, the agent is the boy and the patient is the ball. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. Most passives are formed with the be auxiliary, but you will also encounter the so-called get passive, particularly in spoken language. Here are some examples. Note that there are limitations on the use of the get passive. It cannot always be sensibly substituted for the regular be passive. For example, these constructions sound odd. The hotel got built before the war. It gets believed that he will win. I got born in 1997. It seems that the get passive is most commonly used in situations that have an adverse or a beneficial effect on the patient, rather than in purely neutral situations. So, for example, the get passive in the first sentence here sounds odd, but it doesn't in the second and third sentences. Agentless passive is the term for a passive construction that does not name the agent. For example, you will be told what to do. Or, it is believed that the earth is warming rapidly. Studies have shown that the agentless or short passive is much more common than the long passive with the by prepositional phrase. Here are equivalent short and long passives. It is claimed, by some people, that corona was developed by scientists in a lab. Topic comment are terms from the broad field of information structuring. The topic of a clause is basically what the writer or speaker wants us to focus on, and the comment is information about that focused item. Most commonly, the topic is the grammatical subject and the comment is the predicate, as in these examples. Applying this theory to our discussion of the passive, let's imagine that the speaker or writer wants to focus on different foods at a picnic. In other words, food is the topic. It is in such contexts that the otherwise unusual use of the passive, as in these examples, is justified. The corresponding active sentences make the people the focus or topic, not the food. But this is not what the writer wants. Note that alternative terms to topic comment in the field of information structuring are theme reme. Given new is another theory of information structuring. It holds that readers expect in longer texts that the second part of a sentence will present new information, while the first part has information that has already been presented. Here is a sentence exemplifying this theory. We've already been introduced to Maria, so the pronoun she is used to start the sentence as given information. We then get the new information about Maria in the predicate. Now compare the first text here with the second, in which the second sentence starts with new information and ends with the given information, Maria. Most people will find this contravention of the given new principle somewhat odd or disconcerting. So what does this given new principle have to do with the passive? Well, the passive allows us, in many contexts, to place the given information at the start of the sentence and follow it with the new information. Have a look at this longer text and consider your reaction to it. You will have noticed that the verb in each sentence is in the active voice. You might also have experienced the text as somewhat choppy or lacking cohesion. Now read the text again, in which the second and third verbs are in the passive. The use of the passive in was caused and was governed allow a natural given new progression through the text. This avoids the choppy feel of the first text, in which only active constructions are used. The given new principle adds a further reason to prefer the passive to the active in some contexts. As a reminder, the other main reasons covered in the first passive lesson are when the agent is not known, obvious, or unimportant, or to intentionally keep the agent unknown. We've seen that the passive can be used to avoid naming the agent of an action. For example, mistakes were made. This has led some people to designate as the passive other constructions that avoid naming the agent. Here is an example. 5 people died in an explosion in London yesterday. This is the passive, they claim, because it doesn't name the agent, i.e. who planted the bomb. But this is not in fact a passive as defined by grammarians. The sentence contains neither a be or get auxiliary nor a past participle. If you click the link on the lesson index page, you will go to a video by Professor Pullum with more examples of this misuse of the term passive. Pullum knows what he's talking about. He is the co-author of the authoritative Cambridge Grammar of the English Language. It is common for a word to change or extend its meaning, and you can decide for yourself if you wish to use this extended sense of the word passive for statements that do not name the agent. But just know we are only dealing with a grammatical passive if the construction contains a be or get auxiliary in one of its forms together with the past participle of the verb. Quiz page. Pause the video if you want to review the questions and answers before continuing. Hopefully you should now feel confident in choosing appropriately between the passive and active voice in the text you write. You will know when to follow your grammar checker's suggestion, as here, and when to ignore it. You will know to ignore any generalized advice that tells you to avoid the passive. Okay, you've come to the end of this lesson. Here is a summary of the information you've learned about the passive and its terminology. In the description below this video, you will find a link to the lesson index page shown on the left. As you can see, there are 4 ways to access the content, as well as a glossary and links to quizzes and more information on the topic.